Hi, so welcome to this one. And today the main goal for this one will be trying to create some AI agents. And this AI agent will be helping us with our preparations for our meetings. So this is what we'll be having. So let's just dive in. So AI agents. So what are AI agents? So the basic explanation, or maybe the basic definition for this one, we can say these ones are AI agents that can be able to do their own tasks, whereby you have an AI and then you provide this one with a tool. So this one can be a tool maybe to get data from your CRM, analyze this data, and then maybe send an email or do the other task. So you can describe that one as an AI agent. Then the other difference between this one and maybe the usual AI automations is that the AI in this case is having some tools, so whereby you can be able to tell this I want you to go and send me an email to ABC. But in the usual automations, you'll just be having an automation whereby give us a draft for this email, and then once the AI does what it does, you just go to the next steps. What do we need to be able to accomplish this project, whereby we can be able to get our meetings, check whether we have any history, and then once we have that one, we can then be able to create a new meeting prep. So we might require Read AI. This is one of the popular applications in the market. Also, we might require Fireflies. These are the two that I can recommend on. Also, we have N10, and then we need the CRM that we shall be using to store our data. So when it comes to our CRM, I think this one can have a different setup depending on what you are working on. But the main or the most important part about this one is that we need to have the client. So this one will be having the client name, the client information, and such information. Then the other thing, we need to have the enrichment data. So for example, this client, you might need to have some notes about whom these clients are, or maybe the prospect, and also you might need their email and maybe the source. So this one will depend on the CRM that you're using. If you're using HubSpot, this one will be different. If you're using Close CRM, this one will be different. But the main underlying idea for this one is that you need to have as much information about your leads. Then the other thing that we might look at is the meeting notes. So once we have already had our leads, we also now need to create a table whereby we shall be able to track our leads. In this case, we'll be using Airtable, and this is what I'll be using as the main CRM for this one, whereby we can be able to have our client. So I can be able to have the meeting, so I can be able to say these are the meeting that I had, these are the notes that we had, and maybe these are the other information. So if you are using Read AI, this information might be a bit different. If you are using another application, this might be a bit different. But the main underlying point about this one is that you should be having as much information about the meetings that you had, the notes that were taken, and maybe any other information that can help you prepare for the next meeting. Then the other table that we'll be looking at in this case will be the appointments, whereby we can be able to have all these lists that we want to work with. So these are all the meetings that we might be having booked. So once you have the meeting has already ended, we'll be adding those notes to this table. So you'll be having the client. This is now the prospect whom you need. They have already booked their call. Once they have scheduled their call, you can either check one, do we have a meeting history, yes or no? And if you have a meeting history, you will find that data here. But if you don't have that one, you will find this as blank. So then the other thing here, so those are the three tables that we need to focus on in terms of the CRM, the appointments, and also the meeting notes. So let's dive in into this one. So the main goal for this one will be to create a meeting assistant that will help us prep beforehand for any meetings or maybe other calls. And the reason we want to do this is that you'll find you are spending a lot of time trying to either research about your client, trying to get the notes from the previous meeting. Let's say you had a meeting last week, so you'll need to say, what did we discuss last week? These are the action items, and what have I done? What do we need to do? So you'll find like doing this may take a lot of time, and one of the easiest ways we can be able to do this is just try to delegate and give some AI to do these tasks. So the solution, so this is what we'll be having. This now will be the end goal, whereby we'll be having our AI agent that can go and get our meetings. Once we already have our meetings, we'll get the past record. So this one will just be going to our table and then getting the meeting record. So if we have any records, this is where we'll be getting this data from. Then the other thing we'll be getting is the appointment history. So this one will just be coming to your appointments and then checking, do we have any meetings beforehand by this person? And if yes, then we'll just proceed. But if we don't have, we have some set rules to cater for this one. Once we do this, let's say we found our lead, what we'll be doing next will be creating that meeting prep. So we had a meeting with demos. So in this case, we'll be using demos. Let's go to this one. So we had a meeting with demo. So this is what the meeting history was. These are the items that we discussed last week. Yeah, so these are the items that we discussed last week. And this is now the new items that we shall be discussing this week. So what can we be able... So this one is what we'll be using to create our meeting prep. And then once we finalize on that one, we'll just be using this one to update our meeting. We'll be doing this one kind of manually, whereby we'll try to recreate this agent from scratch and then see how we can be able to build on that one. So the initial steps, what you'll need an automation which will be able to get the data from your AI. So let's say you are using Read AI, Fireflies, you'll need that one. And then update all these meeting records to this table here. Let's go back. So this is what you'll be using to update this table. So once you already have your meeting history, you already have your past meetings, and you already have your appointments, then you are good to go on this one. So we'll just try to create this one. So we'll fetch our meetings. Once we get our meetings, we'll just try to get the appointment history. And then if we find any data, we'll just create a meeting recap. But then if we don't have, we'll just try to use the meeting agenda to try and see whether we can be able to recreate this. And then once we do that, we can just upload our transcript and to our CRM. And then the person who is having this meeting will just find ready to go prep, which they can just go and maybe. So this is what we are having with James. These are the last meeting information, and how can I be able to prepare for this one. So this one you can be able to get some new information, such as what you need to ask, what were the things that you were discussing in the last meeting, among other stuff that will be able to help you in this one. So this will be the end goal, where we have this AI which will just be running on a schedule to do whatever it is that we want. So and we also maybe see some of the opportunities. You can maybe do more with this one, whereby you can do enrichment, and once you do maybe some kind of the enrichment, this one will be much easier for you, whereby you can get as much information about your user as possible. So let's just dive in. That is the whole background about this one, and then just start the work itself. Okay, so let's dive on into this one. So the first thing we'll be doing, this one will be trying to run this one on a schedule. So this is the first thing I think we can try to do, whereby we'll be running this one each hour, since we need to get the meetings that in the next 1 hour. And once we do this, the next thing we'll be doing will just be trying to add an AI agent here. So we'll just come and say add an AI agent. And the first things we can do here, we'll just try to add a chat. So this one will come and use OpenAI. And since I'm using OpenRouter, I'll just come and change this to that, and then try and refresh my models again. So this one will be OpenRouter, OpenAI. So I want to get the meaning. I do prefer using the OpenAI for version. So this one will just search for meaning are good. This is the model that I do prefer using. This is what we can have. And then we can maybe do the first test. So what we can try is whether it works. And we should just how can I assist you today? Good. So once you already have this, I'll just deactivate this one for a moment, and then I'll be using the chart so that we can be able to see the kind of data that we are getting from this one. At the moment, we don't need any memory. The reason we don't need any memory for this one is this one will be running once, and we don't need to infer back to the previous meeting. So the first step we'll be doing for this one, I think we can just try to use our calendar tool. And for this one, we'll try to get the previous meeting history. So for this one, I'll just go to demos, and then from the time, let's just delete this. We'll say from AI this one. And what we want to do is we want to have the start time. That is the first thing that we must do. From AI must be between, yeah. So this one doesn't need a space, so we'll have the start time. And then the other thing that we need to do is maybe get the from AI, and also we need to have the end time. So end time. So what these ones will be doing, these ones will just be filtering our events based on one, do we have any event at the start time, yes or no, and also between this time. So what will just come will come and update our this one. So I'll just pause a minute and then just paste in a prompt that we can be using for this one. Okay, here we go. So this is the prompt that I'll be using in this one, and this one is quite simplified. The main task about this one is one, what it is that it is doing. So this one is one, check whether we have any meetings. So that would be the first task, and then we are providing this one with the real-time data. So since at the moment we are at 1:15 p.m. and this is Nairobi time. The reason we have this one is, let's say you have different users, you don't want your AI confused about the time. Since if we are to remove this one, the AI won't be able to know like what time we are supposed to be having this meeting by default. So you need to have some kind of a way to inform your AI in real time in terms of, today this is the time that we are at, these are the moments that we need to go to. Also we'll have the filter, so we don't need to any email that belongs to my email, since this one will just be getting my own emails, and this one is not on the meeting calendar. No, it's not on the CRM. I've tried filtering my emails on the CRM, so we don't have this one. That's why I have this filter. And then I have also just added a few more rules for the same one. What should this one be able to do? So if we just run this one, we can just say, we don't need to say anything, we'll just say hi. And the reason we are having this one is we just, the basic prompt on the AI just says, do we have a meeting? So there is a confirmed meeting for today, November 10. Currently it's at November 10 from this time. And this one is, so I need to go to the meeting, blah, blah, blah. Let's see whether that's true, whether we have a meeting. Yeah, already we can see we have a meeting that is scheduled for these times. So this was the meeting that we had. Okay. Oh, this one was just, oh, this one was creating an event. Sorry about that. Let's update this one. So we'll just copy this. What we did was we created an event. Let's go to our calendar and actually confirm. Yes, you can see this is the event that we have created. But what we need to do is we need to get, so we can, one, we can either get the events, we can either try to check many events. One, do we have, how many events do we have at this time? And then we can try to filter this one based on the start time, and also we can filter this one on before. So let's go to here. This one will now be having our end time. So for this one now we won't be creating a meeting, but rather we'll just be getting the meeting history. So let's try to repeat our prompt again. So this is what will just be running. Yeah, so currently there's a scheduled meeting. So this is now the meeting that we already held on our calendar. So we'll just come and edit this one. Let's edit this to have new follow-up with demo. And the reason I want to do this is I want to provide this one with one of the meeting history. So I'll just come and take my demo. This will be my guest, and also we'll just be having this one here. Let's just save and don't send. This is just a demo. So this is what we have. And once we run our chat again, we'll see we have this meeting, and this meeting is between them. So here is the meeting details. Perfect. So the next step that we need to do for this one is we'll now go to our CRM. Since we are using Airtable as the CRM, we'll just come to our CRM, and then we'll be searching. This one will just be doing some searches. So what we'll be doing, so this one will just be going to our meeting records and then trying to search for this email here. And if we find a user who already has this email, we'll just be returning this user. So let's just try this one. So for let's just try with this one and see how to get. So we should be able to get this the meeting that we have scheduled on the next 1 hour, and then this is what we need to do here. So let's see. So this is the meeting history with demo. As you can see, you already have the notes from the last meeting. So this is what we had discussed in the last meeting. So these are just what we can be able to find on this one. So meaning this step ran successfully. We'll be doing on this one, we'll now be going to our database, and then we'll be getting all the appointments that we have on this one. So we'll just come back to our NA10, get our tools, Airtable. So this one will just be doing what we did. You just come, copy this one since you're on the appointments, by URL paste, and then we'll just also do another search. So also here we'll just do another search whereby we'll just be filtering these ones based on the lead's email. We'll just come and run our AI again, and then we can be able to see whether we got our results. So this one failed, since this one will say resource you are looking for was not found, since we did not find demo@gmail.com. Let's just add this email immediately. Let's see where we are supposed to add this one. So this one will be coming to our name, pasting. Yeah, good, there we go. So if we are to try this again, now we are supposed to be having some results. Let's just remove this and just decide to use the basic, the schedule. This one is much easier. So this one failed again, we did not find. Let's see the reason for this one. This one is searching on the email. Yeah, I should have tried that one. Let's see what we have. Here. So this is where we should try and replace. Yeah, good. So if we are to run this again, let's test our workflow again. We should not be having this one as a success, whereby we are able to get the meeting history data. Yeah, good. So this one will just come and then same, call this tool to get the that's what we'll just update that tool, and then we can test again and then see whether now that step will run. Oh yeah, I think I see why. This one we are getting the record instead of us searching the record. That is the reason. So this one will come and search our record, and that's what we'll be having. And once we retry this one, we should now be having our success. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So we already found our past meeting history, and that was successful. So this is what we have. So this is what the meeting shows: schedule, blah blah blah, the priority, and all this information. So at this point already, what we have already done, we have just gotten our data. We have already gotten our meeting data, and also we have gotten our appointment history. So what we can try to do, so this is already the information that we have, both for the client data, the meeting history, and the appointment history. So we can be able to have both on this one. What we'll just now be doing, the next step, we'll just be trying to have an AI agent that can be able to do some of this stuff. So we'll just come and create a new tool, whereby we'll just come and give this one a new name. So this one will come and say create meeting prep, and then we can just say call this tool to prepare the meeting prep. So that's what we need. This one will just delete that. Yeah, perfect. And we can rename this step again. So the workflow we'll be using at the moment, so since we want this one to be running here, we'll have workflow.id. So anytime that you have this workflow, you can just be able to run as long as the subtool is in this one. And once we have this, what we'll also be sending here, we'll just save and then have an execute. Since this is what we'll be running, we'll be executing a new sub workflow. And now on this one, we'll be having a new LLM. Let's have a new LLM. Not Olama here, LLM. So this is what will be coming toward LLM. So the basic, we'll just remove the chart. And for this one, we'll just duplicate here, since we don't want to do a lot of settings for the same. and then I'll just paste in a prompt that we can be able to use for this one. Okay, here we go. So now this is the prompt that we'll be using, whereby we'll be saying that the task that it's supposed to do, and these are some of the key takeaways that this one is supposed to be doing, whereby we are supposed to get as much information as we can that will be able to help us prepare for this meeting. And this data will be coming from this field, which we'll be calling the query. So once you run your tool, once you run this tool, let's save. We'll need to add a new node here. The new node will be just a quick set node. So this one we can just try and run this one and see the output that we get, so we can be able to map this field here. I'm not sure whether this one will get us something tangible here. This one is what we have, but here what we need to do is rename this one to response. And the reason we are renaming this one to response is here, field to return. This one you are returning a field called response. So if we are to return this one is called a text, and meaning our AI agent here will not be able to read that one as a text, but this one will just say that no data was returned. So we'll just come and save this one. Perfect. So this is the tool which will not be creating our meeting prep. So if we are to run here again, so let's run this one and then see how this one goes. So we'll be getting our meetings, getting our meeting history, and then trying to call this tool here, whereby we'll now be creating our meeting prep. Perfect. And then let's see the final response. Perfect, here we go. So now this is what we have already prepared. So we can say that this is the meeting. So we already have this meeting. This is not the time this meeting is going to happen, and then the action items that can be able to be done. So this one is a bit not presentable, since this one we are using on the markdown. But what we can just do, we'll just try to add this data. So what we can do, let me just show you a quick trick. If you don't want to have a lot of data on your main tab, you can just come and define below, and you can just paste this one here and delete this. So if you run this, you'll just be running this one instead of having to call the sub workflow. You can just paste the sub workflow tool on this one. So since you already have this information, the next task we need to do is we need to update or insert this information that we got to our Airtable. So you just come to Airtable, and this one will be having one simple task, which will just be updating. We'll come to here, appointment history, and we'll just be trying to update our data. So this one will come back to NA10 URL from list URL, and then see which items that we can be able to match this. So this one is get, this one you want to update. We don't want to create any new fields, we just want to update these ones. And what will be updating this one on, you can just pick any of these fields. You can decide to pick one, any random field, but what I do prefer is just having the meeting link, since this one will be pretty unique. As you can see, these ones are having the same, so meaning in as much as we are going to update the meetings, we'll be updating for the same meetings. If you are to use the email, you can find one user has more emails, and that one can give you some confusions. So this one will just come to straight to our meeting link. Yeah, meeting link here, and this one we want the AI to give us. Since remember, once we get this information from this path, we can be able to have the meeting link. So we'll just come and tell our AI what we want is from. So from AI, so from those meeting links, so we want the meeting link, and what we want to update is just something very simple, and we are just updating the last few fields, whereby we'll just be having the meeting prep. Let's see which fields we have for meeting prep. Here we go. We'll just come again and say from AI, and what we need is just from, this one is the meeting prep notes. Meeting prep notes. So if we are to run this one, so we'll just try to remove these extra fields. Then this one might give us some errors. We don't need the email, we don't need the created time. All we just need to know is how can we prepare for this call. Just delete and just have those two fields, and what we'll just do is just run this one. You can just have here the middle. So once you do this, so you can just come and find the meeting prep here. So you'll just be finding like these are the summaries of the tasks that you did, this is what you need to do, and maybe these are now the other steps that you need to prepare for etc. So this is smart simplified in terms of all you just need to do. So you can just be running this one on a schedule whereby it just activate, and every hour you can just be able to go get whether you have any meetings, and then if you have any meetings, then you can be able to process these ones comparing to the next step that you need. This one can be able to save you tons of hours, tons of minutes per call. If you maybe you have the sales calls, the follow-ups etc, this one can be able to simplify your tasks much easier compared to maybe what you might do doing this manually, whereby you have to go to each meeting, see what you discussed, try to get those notes, update the new meetings, have a new brief etc. So this one can take quite a bit of time when you do this one manually. But now considering using an AI agent like this one will now get much easier for you to do. I hope you got something, I hope you enjoyed, and let's see what you can be able to do. I'll be dropping the link for this one on the comments, whereby you can just be able to access this blueprint and then just change this one to be whatever it is that you want to do. Thank you, I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.